you want the screen down, Mike?
So
What we're on now,
you can't
we're
approve until you
live. You want it down so the rest can see?
Sure, well, to see, do we have a
Well, I don't
presentation?
know. I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
All right, it's 1:30 and we'll call the meeting of the inspectors of the Carbon County Jail to order. Please stand for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we could turn mics on, please. I know last time folks had a problem here. Yeah.
All right, these proceedings are being recorded for the sole purpose of preparing accurate written minutes. Recordings are overwritten following the approval of the minutes, eliminating all unofficial records of these proceedings. Are there any guests here?
I do have a guest from the AOPC, but I actually was just gonna have them speak to the commissioners whenever they were available. It doesn't have to be at the board meeting. Just happen to be coming up this today.
Did you wanna meet with the whole board though?
It wouldn't be a bad idea. If you can make a 2-minute presentation.
Should we do it during the meeting if you're okay with that? Or do you wanna wait? Say executive session.
I'll just say this, I've been part of Paul's 2-minute presentations that'll take an hour, so.
I know, I just
I'm
got.
not saying anything.
He's not talking.
Paul isn't talking.
No.
right?
All right,
I just went over that with him.
sure, if there's anything you wanna go over.
Alright, so my name's Michael Harper. The Supreme Court of Pennsylvania is starting a behavioral health initiative where we're reaching out to the other two branches of government, the legislature and the governors, to try to find out what the plan is for Pennsylvania in the midst of the behavioral health crisis. So it's really part of a national movement where courts are trying to lead conversations. So I started in March. Again, as part of a national movement, there's about 10 states that have a version of me. And I would say recently it seems like it's being well received. We've been waiting to hear what the other two branches, what their reaction is, and it seems like they want the courts to speak up and say, what we're seeing in our, it really comes down to locally, right? It's always a local story about what's happening locally. So it's behavioral health, so it's, addiction, co-occurring serious mental illness, intellectual disabilities. And it's system-wide, it's not just criminal justice. So we're focusing on how can courts improve their processes, we have to do a good job in-house, but it's also, like I said, trying to understand what other resources are needed in our communities.
Yeah, and I think we look at it too, like we're pretty involved in like the joinder board between the 3 counties. And we deal with these issues, through the mental health and everything that it's, like I said before, if you're gonna bring us money, you can come every week.
Thank you. Thank you very
No,
much.
thank you.
And you'll be available after the meeting, should there be any questions?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, then, any other guests? And I'll entertain a motion for approval of the regular meeting held October 18th, 2023.
Motion approved.
Motion by Rocky, is there a second?
Second.
Dan, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
No motion, let me abstain since I was absent. Wait, yeah. Oh, I called into the meeting, okay.
Yeah.
Reports of any executive sessions held, I don't believe there were any executive sessions. Reports of committees, maintenance report.
Okay, I attended a locksmithing class at Pike County Correctional Facility. Sykes Brothers was in for their monthly service. Hobart was in for the dishwasher not working. They came back on November 1st to fix the problem. Johnson Controls was in for the annual inspection and test of the fire pump system. Moyer Well Drilling was in to check out the well pump October 30th. I submitted the monthly dweller report to DEP. I'm still working with NAGWA from Carbon Engineering on the feasibility study. We removed a couple more trees. We're We're still waiting for Johnson Controls to come back and upgrade the camera system. We've had some communication with Bob Fidium, and we're still waiting. Train was in on November 3rd for the rooftop unit, came back November 6th. The unit is locked out until that one gets fixed. Van Cleef Engineering was in with Sigma Controls. The actual person that was the one that built the control system from Sigma came in to check it out. And he said it looked like some of the stuff that he designed was never finished activated. So he made some adjustments to it, and everything seems to be working good now. Penn Power was in to inspect our generators. I think this is the third time they came to check the generators. They got like all the information, the filter sizes and all that, but they still haven't done the oil change or the preventive maintenance.
Are we
And-
outs- I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Are we outside that, the annual time period?
Normally we used to have the oil change done in March.
And they didn't do it this March?
Well,
or
it was beginning of April, I called Mechanical Service Company who used to have the contract, and that's how I found out that they no longer had the contract.
Right.
So then I called the office and they said was Penn Power had the contract. So then they reached out to them and then they sent someone out, wasn't too much longer after that. They got like information and details. And then apparently, some time went by, I called up to see what was going on, and apparently that person left and didn't leave any of the information he gathered. So then they sent someone else out, and I know Pete took the guy around to all the generators that day, and they got all the information then. And then I know Ellie had asked me for information at one time, so I emailed that, the model number and all that stuff. And then, just recently, Lisa contacted me and said, hey, they're coming out, and she thought it was to do the PMs as well.
Right.
And all he did was the same thing the last guy did by writing all the information down. So I called Lisa, and she's aware, and she was gonna get a hold of
All
it.
right, as long as.
So we're still trying to move forward with it.
Anybody else have any questions for Ronnie?
What are we gonna do with that rooftop unit over top of the special unit, that's the one that's down? You had a couple of quotes on that, Roddy, didn't you,
Yeah,
for?
the quote just to repair the unit, get it up and running, it replaces the burners, there's the bottom tray and everything, because there was some cracks and some rust in the things, and, that was like 9,000 something.
$9,476.
And then there's also another quote to change the heat exchanger, that doesn't have to get changed now, but he said it's starting to rust, it's a matter of time, it could be a year, it could be 3. That was, I guess that night there was a loud noise, and I guess they even called, the sergeant went around the perimeter trying to find out what the noise was from. And, the next morning I came into work and said, hey, go up on the roof and take a look, and that's when I saw the door was off of the unit.
I just didn't wanna get into a situation like we had a couple of years ago in February with no heat in the unit, and
I think we should replace the heat exchanger right away. However, that puts us over the 11,000. Is that on state contract, or do we have to get 2 more quotes then?
I believe they are
It says
close.
no.
Wait, what is
Yeah,
it now?
none of it's state
No,
contract,
okay.
we don't have to,
Yeah,
but I am seeing here, they have like the invoice, doesn't have the tax on it, and that's gotta be
Well,
revamped a little bit too.
Ellie has a
Go ahead,
comment.
Ellen.
yeah.
Okay, the solicitor just received a copy of that. So if the prison board wants to recommend it to the Board of the Commissioners, the solicitor has to review all the terms and conditions that were attached, because they usually don't fly.
Yeah, because that's all it is, a front page and 13 pages of conditions.
Yeah.
So how long was is it good for? 30 days? Yeah, valid for 30 days from November 8th, so, could we make a motion then? What is the lower limit now for quotes? 11,
2?
12 now?
12.3, I
Oh,
think.
3, okay, so we're with limit, so would a motion be appropriate pending approval of the solicitor because of the 30-day?
I don't think we have to put that on there, I think that's more for you when you approve the payment or whatever, you're
Okay.
doing it that way. Ours is just to recommend to the board
Yeah.
Okay.
that the heat exchanger be,
Okay.
that unit be purchased. So that would be the motion. Is there a motion to that effect?
Yeah,
Somebody
I'll,
wants to make?
yeah, I'll make
I'll
it.
second it.
Second by Rocky, all those in
Just
favor,
one-
say aye.
I'm sorry.
Whoops.
There's one thing I want to bring up, we're gonna have a tough time trying to find money to pay for that out of this year's budget. I just want to make you aware of that.
I'm sure that they understand what money's in there and what's in the budget, but it's
Okay.
something that I think we can't not recommend
Yeah.
at this
Just thinking
time.
about it next year's.
Or we'll be sitting up there with blankets keeping the prisoners warm, which we don't wanna do.
We'll have a hoagie sale. No.
Alright, so the motion was made by Commissioner Lukasevich, second by Mr. Arner, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Anything else under? I'd like to talk to you after we're done. I thought it was a lock picking thing, but it's lock smithing. I just wanna know about like how that goes, but I don't wanna waste everybody's time.
Actually, after we're done here, I need to get back because we have a grinder pump issue.
We'll talk
and
later.
all
I just
states
found it
covered,
interesting.
but,
Okay,
yeah, there was a little bit of lock picking involved with,
I figured
with the
that.
class.
okay. That's the maintenance report, work release report.
Good afternoon, everyone. Submit to the board is the monthly work release report. For the month, we had 3 individuals, currently 2 on the program. Net income for the month was $3,707.42. And a breakdown will include $1,400 for room and board, court costs $200, inmate payments of $2,017.42, and $90 into escrow. Also submitted is the in-house work report, and if there's any questions, I can certainly try to answer those.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Schubert? And any questions on the report? Okay, there being none, we'll move on to Plan of Action Committee report.
Plan of Action Committee met a few weeks ago. Warren, I'll ask you to jump in here if I miss anything, or
Sure.
Derek. The tablet use and policy is moving forward, to the best of my understanding.
I sent a copy of the proposal to everybody right after the last prison board meeting. I don't know if everybody had a chance to review it. We could call Mr. Bradley then and let him know we're gonna move forward if you're all in agreement.
I think in order to move forward and get them, there's no cost involved.
Didn't we make a motion at one of the meetings, and I even said we should have made a motion to move it on to the commissioner's office? I think we already did
You're
that.
the only ones that can make the contract.
Yeah,
remember.
I think we did do that 2 weeks, and was that the week I ran the meeting, and Mike, or weren't you here?
It was one, I wasn't
Yeah, cause
here.
that's what I said to her, cause I
Yeah.
said, I think we did do that, and that would've been 2 months ago, we made the motion to move it on to the commissioners, so.
Yeah. Last month after
Yeah.
the meeting, we got the proposal the day after the meeting, and that's why we sent it down, and that's why we
so
brought it back
that's-
up again
that's something
today.
That's gonna have to be put
Alright,
on
so
the board.
I don't wanna do another motion like that if we've already made that.
Well, you don't
motion.
have to, I think we just have to put it that it gets on the agenda,
Okay,
yeah, cause we already, yeah, we did do that.
And that'll be 2 weeks, because we're no meeting next week. Same with this contract, we're still good though, because it's still December 8th.
So that's the tablets. Next, we spoke about the ion scanner, and I let the warden know I was a little confused, because I thought we went back to the original person that we were gonna buy this from, which I think was Smith Detection, and that was gonna go forward, and we were gonna have that ion scanner pretty quickly, and now there seems to be another issue.
Mr. Charlie Patterson, he's the president of ACS Protection, sent Jennifer Fritz an email that she forwarded us on November 9th. Said that the best guess date for delivery would be late spring.
But that's a different vendor, correct?
Well, when we had the display, it was from Smith Detection, but then we went with ACS Detection.
because that was a CoStar one.
Yeah,
What's the difference in price in those? Were they the same?
believe the one that we had at the jail was a couple $1,000s cheaper, but I'm not 100% sure. Well, it was cheaper, wasn't it? Yeah.
But I thought we were going with the Smith Detection one. The last that I thought everybody voted on to do that was gonna be advertised and we didn't have to get the 3 bids
Right.
or something like that. I
Yeah,
thought it was something like that.
Yeah, and I don't even know what it was, what was the deal with the one couldn't get it and one could, so we were going with the one that was actually gonna get it the fastest for us?
Yeah, that's not the one that he has.
Yeah. I
The
believe,
Smith Detection was the one that we saw, we actually had a demonstration, all of us got up there and we were able to do it. And so I'm not familiar with the other machine, but I know that once we had that, it was a recommendation put up, then you went to the CoStarz one and got something similar from this company, and then they couldn't get it in time. Well, now it's back on the, so they couldn't get it, so we were going back to do this, and I guess somebody recalled that CoStarz one, and now it's still another delay till spring. And I think we should get the first one, I mean, that's the one we saw, it's a little cheaper, and I don't think it's 2,000, if you have to advertise, it's not gonna be $2,000 in advertising costs.
I believe
You
Attorney
drop the
Strickland.
specs exactly to what the machine is, can't you, Bob? I mean, when I advertise specs on machines, or a piece of equipment that was unique like that, first of all, because it's unique, I don't think you have to get them. But even beyond that, you could drop the specs that fit the machine and then put it out to bid, and then that's the only bid that you're gonna get. Well, what do you do, put it in the paper twice, and
Yeah,
that's it, a couple
Yeah, we
$100
talked
bucks.
about that, you're not gonna get the same exact, nobody's gonna, their
No.
product is not gonna be the same.
No, and especially ours is a little unique because we're doing not the ion scanning just for the drugs, but we're adding the ballistics on it.
We have a sole source option though, correct, Bob? Because of the uniqueness of the capabilities of that one machine compared to others.
Yeah, if it has unique features that
Yeah.
are patented,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I think each one is individually
Yeah, so-
patented because they're all doing a different thing.
When would the delivery on that one be, estimated?
Late spring. And I don't know if you remember, we initially went with this company when we couldn't go with Smith Detection, and they kept giving us a due date and kicking it back. That's why he canceled for us, and then for some reason, re-upped with him.
Smith Detection, how quickly can they get it?
They were, I haven't talked to them in a long time now, but when
Okay.
we did have them up at the jail, they were giving us a 3 to 6 month delivery date, and we would've had it already.
But wasn't there a discussion on that too, like if they could be a CoStarz vendor? Wasn't that something, I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know if they didn't want to, or.
Yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know if that was ever continued or,
We did present that to them.
but if it's a unique machine and what do we do? Can't we just order the one that's more readily available? That the one that we actually want?
Well, initially, when we canceled, that was what the plan was gonna be, and then it got changed again. These guys, this Mr. Patterson, he's been nice, but like I said, he kept kicking the date back, and apologized, and I guess the work is done overseas, if I remember correctly from reading some of his letters, and he couldn't guarantee that they could test for certain drugs, and that's how we got frustrated, because he kept giving us a date, and then the date would come, and it would never.
I don't feel as president of the board, I don't feel comfortable in getting that piece of equipment from that company.
No, not.
For all this that went on, and I'm more comfortable with the other one, and I don't know what means you have to do to get it, but we all tested it, we all tried it, and they had the module added that we wanted with the ballistics, and without a real significant increase, but they worked, and they're available, you talk to them on the phone, we're always, to answer any questions they had, I like that company. And I
What's
think they're
your
more responsive to what we're doing.
What's your recommendation?
To go with Smith Detection, that's what we wanted to do from the very beginning.
Sounds like a plan.
So you have to cancel this order with
Yeah.
ECS, make a new order with Smith Detection.
Yeah.
And then then I guess a motion would be in order to have Smith Detection prepare a new, more up-to-date proposal that we would like to have forward to the commissioners to be placed on the budget, or to be placed on their next agenda for purchase. And if you could, Ward, when you get that proposal from them, just the date that, a delivery, like how long for a delivery date and anything so that they have relating to support and maintenance.
Okay.
But from what I remember, they were really good when we were having those meetings.
They
There
were.
not a lot of,
Yeah.
And if it's something that's unique to our application, like what we need it for, like.
it's
is
real
it-
close. It's a specialized piece of equipment. It's not being made individually for us, but it's more specialized in patent. I think you can make that argument with it. And if it's not, then you have to make a decision on whether you advertise. And I wholeheartedly agree that if you write up the specs right off of that machine, it's the only bidder you're gonna get, and you're gonna have two. And maybe we find a different one from somebody else that's gonna underbid it, but I don't think you're gonna get that. And then, it's not that expensive to advertise. You're only talking 2 advertisements. What's the paper, a couple hundred, I think, one of those small ones like that? I don't even think they designate where it has to be. You throw that in a public notices are the cheapest ones you have out there. And you only need it twice, that's under a couple $100, it's under that. Anyway, that would be a motion that's in order. You wanna make that motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to.
Motion by Dan,
I'll second.
second by Rocky. All those in favor say aye.
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 Alright, that motion passes. Alright, go ahead.
Rodney, update on the camera system. I did speak with Johnson Controls last week. The issue is that they're still dealing with other county projects. So they're trying to get those completed so then they can shift their focus to your camera. So they are aware of it. They're working as hard as they can to get there. So I guess unfortunately it's on the list, so to speak. Other issues we talked about, I think more importantly, this ongoing security issue with people coming on grounds that has caused some concern. I think the one with the ballistic vest that we couldn't identify was most concerning. But I think it just illustrates the ongoing need for that guard shack, mechanical arm, just so you could regulate who goes in there, cause it's not just the prison, it's the 911 center as well as the EOTC center up there, which, again, it's locked, but, it continues to be a concern, which we might have a solution to that if you wanna talk about some of the grant stuff.
I guess it was probably early in October, sometime in October, Mr. Levy approached me that there was some grant money available. At that time, I believe it was $79,000 and change. And he was looking, and it was related to COVID and COVID expenses. And we met with Mr. Levy and we went over some of the bills we had during the COVID years for PPE equipment, disinfectant, stuff like that. And talked about what we could do with that money. And what we did, we want to do, again, stock up on PPE equipment and disinfectant, stuff like that. We also thought about gloves and things of that nature, and we would buy more in bulk if we had a place to put these items. And we thought about a pole building. And we got a quote for a pole building, I believe it was 15,000 and change, I'm not sure.
How much?
15 and change, I believe it was. And then, I didn't know about the floor and the electric, but there'd be some other incidental costs. So we thought we'd go with the pole building and some equipment for the jail, PPE equipment, stuff like that. Maybe last week, Mr. Levy got a hold of us and said there may be more money available. Again, COVID money available, and we were just looking for ways to, again, take advantage of maybe getting that grant money. Mr. Levy suggested maybe the replacement of the HVAC system, or at the very least having our system cleaned. So we reached out to Rodney, we getting some quotes from Train and Clean Air on these things. And like I said, we're a little handcuffed because we don't know how much money is available. So we don't know exactly what we're looking at, what we can and cannot do. Am I correct with that, Mr. Levy?
That's correct. I reached out to the gentleman from PCCD related to the grant funds, try to find out an exact amount. In fact, I was at a meeting a week or so ago, and that's when it came up that there was this extra money. And I said, how much? And they said, can't really tell you, I'm not really sure, but you want to probably ask for at least an HVAC system. which tells me a minimum of a couple $100,000. I think the idea behind it is that there was a certain amount of funds that are supposed to be expended, and other agencies that were, I guess, targeted to get those funds decided either not to apply or apply for less of the funds. So they're looking to get rid of this money as long as it applies to, again, COVID relief type issues. We had to do it fairly quick because the time parameters that they gave us were initially, I think, about a week and a half. So that's where some of the money that they're receiving are actually monies paid back for monies and expenses related to equipment they've already purchased that were not purchased through other agencies, but purchased through the jail for cleanup. So my thought was, and I keep trying to get a number from them, but they're not giving me a number. I would rather be in a position, and I even spoke to Mr. Notstein about whether or not there was any need for any additional HVAC, because I'd rather put a larger number on it, and if they tell us we can't have all that money, and they tell us that, okay, you need to reduce it, then you reduce it. If you don't ask for it, and you don't apply for it, you don't get it. And this is not one of those grants that is difficult to, competitive grant. It's also not a grant that's tied to any kind of employment services or future services. It's equipment related, and I think it's a good opportunity. And that's why I even mentioned, is the current HVAC system at the courthouse something that could actually be attributed towards this expense? I don't know what that cost is, and I don't know how that muddies the waters with other contracts that you have. But again, when somebody's telling me that there's this money, I'm inclined to try to figure out how to spend it that will benefit the county.
So correct me if I'm wrong, we have not seen a grant released that we don't know how much money or what's covered under it yet, correct?
So here's what I'm told, $79,000 based on my discussions at the CJAC meeting, which is the Criminal Justice Advisory Committee, where you vote on these things. The people who are there are PCCD and other individuals. They indicated, without telling me directly related to ours, that there were no issues or concerns with any of the requests that were made for any of the grants that came through, which tells me that ours were fine for that. Additionally, they indicated that other people who had applied for HVAC systems were also able to get that money. Initially, the $79,800 and some odd dollars was the cap based on the county size. But because, again, the funds were not expended for other counties, this additional funding became available. And one of the things that I spoke to the warden about was also potentially, since it's COVID related, if there was a need for even having private booths in each of the units, that individuals could either on their tablet, on a Polycom, have either conversations with the court, hearings, and or having conversations with their attorneys. That obviously I think is a good tie or connection to the COVID relief funds, because you're limiting the exposure of individuals to other individuals. You're also assisting security because you're not having to transfer that person from one location of the jail to the other. It was just an idea. Again, I'm just trying to figure out how to utilize those funds if they're available. My look at those, they were about $15,000 per unit for, again, each booth. And then if you were to put in a Polycom, it's another probably $10,000 on top. I might have that reversed. I think it's 10 and 15 for the Polycoms. So in total, that would be about, I was told there were 5 units that they could be used. It's $125,000. I was gonna ask for all of it. And then if they tell me they didn't have the funds for it, they could tell me, okay, you only have this much funding, and then it's a matter of modifying the budget. They send the budget back to me if there's an issue with it. Right now, they sent it back to me because they said that there's more money, put a larger request in.
But we don't have the specifics.
Do not.
So as the Plan of Action Committee met about this, what we talked about with the warden and deputy warden was coming up with a list of priorities, wants and needs that the prison has. So some of that, we've talked about a pole barn for a while. The security post there comes up quite a bit. There may be a way to use that grant money to do that it's not a county expense. So, I think the leader leadership at the prison should come up with that priority list, and that drives the grants that we go after, not a grant comes out, let's see what we get, and we pick some things. That, to me, doesn't work well, where we're just trying to spend money that you don't really need. I think we go after what the priority list is first, and in talking with the warden, and deputy warden, I mean, the Polycom issue is gonna be handled with the tablets. So, you know, I don't know that there's a need for the Polycoms. An isolated space could be if they feel that is in the best interest with their physical plant there. But why I take grant money to buy Polycoms when we went through all this stuff to get the tablets to have that capability, where maybe we could use that money for the Polycoms on something else that you could tie into COVID.
And that's fine, the only, I could tell you the problem that we're gonna run into is the timing. I'm told that they want me to have something in tomorrow, by the end of tomorrow, with the magical wish list. So that's why, the last time I had a big week and a half to try to put it together and try to put, monetary amounts attached to it. But again, I present the information, I don't know what exactly is needed. I'm the middleman, because I'm listed as the grant committee chairman. They contacted me, they said, hey, here are 6 counties, I think there were 6 of them, that we haven't gotten a response related to COVID relief. This is what you can apply for, you have 2 weeks or whatever it was. I spoke to the warden, that's when the communication started going back and forth. And there we thought was only 79, and I said, is there additional funds? And it was only until last week that they told me there was these additional funds, and I contacted the jail and said, look, can you get me some estimates for whatever your wish list is, that you know. When I say wish list, I'm not trying to diminish the need, it's the need. It needs to be a real need, but obviously, you were just talking about the HVAC system, or at least a portion of it, the heater unit, I'm assuming that's related to the HVAC system. That tells me that you're getting to a point that it's aging, and if you can have a grant that's gonna pay for an entire new system, which is the way it sounds it's going to be, and then some, I think that it would not be wise to wait a year for it to break. And I don't know how old it is, I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, we have an estimate on what it's gonna cost for the system in the courthouse, why not turn that into it? And that's what it originally started out, we were gonna, with COVID and they needed filtration, I mean, there's,
Cause that's what we use COVID money for,
I mean,
76.
you know,
You can ask what that dollar amount is for that part of the bid,
yeah, whatever that
or
is for the,
estimate. Either
that
way, it's gonna
part.
save us.
We have everything that when we originally did it, the first one you did, the stuff that we needed for the prison.
I think that's what Paul turned in already for
Yeah.
that 79,000.
What did that have in it?
I think it had in there, the pole building,
Did not.
No, it
so,
couldn't.
so we should probably add
yeah,
that.
at that time they couldn't, but now maybe you might be able to.
Right.
And you tie it into
Yeah.
the storage area for supplies, right, that makes sense to do that, and then you get the pole building that you want it for how long, and I think, I don't know what the price would be, but that security coming into the prison is a concern, and you could probably easily tie that into a security post that asks people if they're COVID positive before they enter into the prison to pay for the whole thing,
That
right?
sounds
So
like a stretch.
I know, but that's exactly.
I love the creativity.
But maybe there's another way you could justify that, Commissioner Edwards,
Right.
you know, that's a little more creative,
Right.
but, you know, if that's, instead of the county having to pay that bill, why not ask for it and see how you get it?
Yeah, and I don't know what the difference is in price. I just thought in my head, if you were able to ask for 2 HVAC units, one for the jail and one for the courthouse, and that didn't create a problem. Those seem to be very large ticket items, that obviously if you save the money on that, I would think that would be much more costly than a booth. I could be wrong though, a security booth. And then that you're obviously, if you're saving that money, monies that you're using for, you know, in those savings could go towards the booth if it was a necessity.
You should have
Doesn't-
came to my grant meeting.
What's that?
You should have came to my grant meeting lesson. You have to be prepared. And that I had on the 23rd, when I had everybody, all the entire county here, and that's what you have to be prepared, but I think being prepared here would be getting this, and if it is $500,000 or whatever, that's a good start, and then we can use, that's coming out of capital projects. And we could use capital projects for some of these other things that are done, but I think if you have to have this rushed in by tomorrow, I think the courthouse would be to get the estimates for that and send that in.
So
I
does,
mean, if you're on a time restraint, like, how are you gonna get something sort of up there by tomorrow?
but does the prison board need to authorize Paul to include certain things in that grant application? Or are we just gonna authorize him to, that he and the warden list what they see fit? Cause I was just apprised of this
Yeah.
a day or two ago about this grant stuff, so, and I don't wanna walk away from free money by any means, but, I don't know what we need to do.
What's the grant for? Is it for the prison?
It's for COVID relief
For the
funds.
county or
But
for the
my-
prison?
It ultimately was
We
supposed to
could
be
be on it,
for
tell them now to do it, not.
the protection of inmates and the community. So ultimately, it deals with.
You're gonna have to figure out how you tie it in.
Yeah, well, Chris just looked up the, mechanical end, boilers, HVAC, 2.02 million. Yeah, 2 million, so,
So,
I would recommend, hey,
yeah,
because
I,
if we save that out of capital, we could do the
yeah,
Other things.
whole building, and it's, easier to,
yeah.
do that.
Cheaper, right?
Cheaper, and we're better off going for a system that would more likely be approved.
But what are you putting in? Is it the HVAC system for the prison? Or are you talking about the courthouse?
Well,
Because
you're talking
yeah,
about
but
the
you're-
courthouse.
yeah,
But the
but,
grant, that's now but the grant, and I know we're working back asswards, which is disgusting to me, but the fact is that you said it's for a prison for the separation or care for prisoners. How do you tie in the courthouse to this?
Well, ultimately, the prisoners do in fact go to the courthouse as well, and you're dealing with, I
I
understand.
don't know how you could put the Paul, I don't know how you could put the building, the courthouse building in a grant application, for something for the prison. It's a whole
Well-
separate building.
Well, the only
There
thing-
might be a way to tie the cost, you know what it costs for the HVAC there, and
Which-
utilize it as you deem necessary,
Which
but
Rodney wouldn't have left, because I think 2 or 3 of those units have been totally replaced already on the roof of the prison, I believe.
Yeah, didn't we do that after, or as part of the roof project, right?
yeah,
Or
that's
sometime in,
So
that
some
was
was,
with Tremco.
yeah.
but
we
you know
just
what the
did that.
cost is for that, and if you're putting,
Well, we
I
just
just
did.
Well,
don't,
we'd have to go to whoever paid the bill, what the bill was, we paid to the,
look at the.
yeah, cause you could go back 2 years for it.
yeah.
End
You
of
want-
the day tomorrow, due date, or midnight?
By the
It's
end
more
of
than
tomorrow.
2
So
years, I
here's what will happen. Because this is not a competitive grant, if there are issues or concerns with the way it was presented, I need to present something out there that is at least palatable and understandable. They can come back to me and say, look, this is not gonna meet the criteria, you need to define this better, or there may be other issues. Or they may say to me, look, you need to give us a more specific proposal as to how you came up with these figures. Right now, it's much, I'm gonna say, much more general that I have to put the information. Once it gets brought back to me afterwards again, if the approval is done, we're gonna have to substantiate those costs. Now, of course, what I can do is, since this just came up and the idea came up about the actual courthouse, I can take a look at the specific parameters, talk to the individuals before tomorrow, and see if I can include that. I don't think I'd like to have the 2 numbers, the HVAC system for the jail, and the HVAC system, or an approximate figure for the jail, and the HVAC system for the courthouse. And then go from there, and at least I'll know from that perspective, what funds we could put in. Now, do you want me to include also those private booths, to allow secure issues for people to contact, either the court system or their attorneys. Because again, I think that's that's a tie-in that you can say, okay, you don't have people filtering through the hallways and going, to the courthouse, et cetera, but I leave it up to you. I was trying to be creative, it's not my jail, I'm just trying to figure out how you can spend that money.
I would think, I guess what I would like to prevent would be, we go and ask for 2, but they really had 5 million available.
Yeah.
So then you leave the money on the table, right? So why not, being that you're involved in this committee and could clarify some things, why not put both of the HVACs on there, and the pole building, and the security booth, and maybe you get money to do all of it. I mean, all they can do is tell you no.
That's fine with me, just,
That would be my suggestion, but,
and
I mean, I think the board has to decide.
And I just guess what I'm asking for is even, they understand that because of the time parameters that they put us under, that we can't get, contracts drawn up and specifics. But if we have an estimate as to what these things are gonna cost, based on real information, not just pulling
But
numbers out of the air.
if you can go back 2 years, we
You
have
got-
it, we
you
have
got
what.
what your I'm sorry, Rocky, you
No,
got
like
what your HVAC is, you
Tremco
could go back
has it
2
right.
years for the stuff that you had there.
Yeah,
And,
Tremco.
and we'll just add those other things in as,
Yeah, like
whatever.
Tremco, we've already paid that, and if you can go back 2 years, Tremco has all their stuff itemized. I mean, I'm looking it up now, but I know I have it somewhere.
Wasn't it in 21, wasn't it?
Was it?
It was 21, right? It wasn't 20, it was 21.
Yeah, I think it's
wasn't
over 2 years for.
Is it 2 years
it?
already?
Was it 21?
I think so.
Is it the completion of it,
But
or is
even
it
if,
the?
but even if we know, we have to replace any more of those.
Well, apparently one for sure.
Well, what about this right here?
Yeah, we
Right
got
here,
one right there that
78.
we'll
By the
throw
way, I
on
heard
it.
that number.
And so we could throw those on.
Throw it on for
You
2.
get in with Paul and get him those numbers for that, and I'll get the thing from, well,
You're talking about the rooftop heating unit and cooling units?
Yes.
Yeah, cause I got a list here from Rodney, just the new one was from January of 22, but there's a lot that are from 2008, 2006, rooftop unit number 1, 2010, so they've been up there for quite a while.
So when I spoke to the warden, I thought that the number was approximately, to replace the whole unit, was about $180,000 for the entire HVAC unit. Now, that sounds a little bit low based on the $2 million.
Yeah,
for the
that
court
don't
system.
sound right, because I think we paid, what did I say it was here, 4? I don't remember now.
Well, it really sounds like you can absolutely overestimate.
I should have at least a number that doesn't, that I've done a little bit of
Legitimate.
research for, yeah.
Or without a quote, without an exact quote.
Sure.
Terry, do you remember when the heating was done? I can't find it now.
I think it was in 2001.
No, I mean, in 21, you mean?
Well, we can find those numbers from when they were replaced and maybe an inflation number or something, for an estimate. Sounds like at least 3 that are 2010 or older.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm looking at 5 of them that are rooftop unit 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are from 2006 or 2008. Rooftop unit 2, that was the one that was replaced in January of 2022, I believe. Oh, yeah.
Is that what it was?
So that, yeah, cause I started it in December of 21 and it happened in January of 22. And rooftop unit 1, that was, May of 2010. So there's 5 of them that are,
Normally 20-year
17 years of-
lifespan, so that
You
might,
could,
that
you
might be
could,
questionable.
you could use the price of the one that was in 22, and you could get that reimbursed, you already have that, and then you have an estimate for what you have here, and you add that times the number that you have there that are 20 years old, and you have that one. And then you throw yours on for the courthouse to make the argument, and then we add on as best we can the guard, the pole building, what we already have on, the pole building and the shack there.
I mean, if you had to put together, something, there's the other, we just got a new thing for the parking. We know what that costs, right, that booth?
Yeah, about 20 some, was it 25,
And then
30?
I think you're looking at an arm that prevents access and probably some fencing so people can't go around it, and you gotta run electric, maybe. so gotta be less than 100, I would think, for that, roughly.
Yeah, but the cost of operating it then,
Manning it.
manning
We're
it.
just putting it, we're just putting it on a grant, that's a whole decision that you have to make as you guys contract. But if we could put it on a grant that we have it on there, and then you see how the money plays out. You're not authorizing doing it, you're authorizing to put it in a grant
Yeah,
application.
just to ask.
I think you have other stuff that's in there that's more pressing, because you know you're gonna have to replace that. And I know, you're gonna make a decision on a guard shack or anything like that. Yeah, you have to man it, that's a whole other. But I'd rather see it on the grant, at least you're getting there, cause they saw it come up one time. If another grant opens up, they saw you already asked for it, then you might you might be a different personnel setup or whatever. But there's a security issue, Could be ways to modify that that it's key card operated, or by a intercom system to raise and lower the gate. Somebody right in the comm center, which might be easy. I mean, the technology's all different, we don't know, but we don't put it in an
I don't
ask.
wanna put it on those people, what if they have a major incident and that at the time? That I have a problem with. At times, they only have 2 people on and get overwhelmed.
And then that person sits outside the gate and they wait there till we're done.
But I mean, the prison has a dispatch center anyway, right? They're working there when people are hitting the buttons to get in the gate, so, I mean, you have options.
Theoretically, yeah.
We can talk about all the different things, if we don't make a decision now, he's gonna run out of time to put in this.
Yeah,
grant.
I think you have to put in for the big ticket items,
I guess you got your,
and
either a guide, some kind of a game plan on what to do.
Okay, so I'll just see when the warden's available tomorrow and try to get this thing rolling. I'll start on my end, I'll also try to call over and just, see if I can give them get a little bit more of a definitive number. Is it 500,000, is it $5 million? I don't
Oh, if we have the price from 22 for the rooftop, at least we
Yeah.
have an estimate, a recent one.
I was actually referring to PCCB, trying to give you
Yeah,
the number
okay.
that they're offering.
So Paul, you have what you need somewhat?
I do, just now I have so everyone's good with everything, I'm gonna ask for all the ticket items, and then ultimately, hopefully they'll come back to me and tell me
Okay.
what's approved and what's not
I
approved.
mean, if not, okay, so look them up.
So the only other thing really of note from the Plan of Action Committee was to have the warden and deputy wardens start looking at their continuity planning, and starting to go through that process. I think there is one, but it probably needs to be revised. There was really nothing else of note from that meeting.
Dan, in regards to one of the outstanding items from the report that was done for the prison, the ticketing system. Remember a maintenance ticketing system?
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, IT has been using OzTicket now for about 4 months. If the prison wants to be brought into that and utilize that for maintenance, as will county maintenance, it's available. They might have to add 2 or 3 more usernames to it, but it would be an insignificant amount, a few bucks and stuff like that to do that. Rodney would just have to link up with Caleb and those guys there and bring them into how that works.
So maybe it's best to have Rodney be a little more oriented to that,
Yeah.
to see the benefit or not, and then
Yeah.
if it's gonna help him,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, it's gonna track all the work orders and tickets that he would remain, there'd be a historical record of
Yeah.
what was done when and stuff like that, so.
So who would Rodney contact?
County IT, Caleb.
Okay, and they could orient him? to
Yeah,
what
they'll
the
show
process
them
is?
the system, how it works and how they can bring them in.
Warden, would you mind letting Rodney know that, and then
We'll do that.
maybe by the next, prison board meeting, we could ask Rodney what his recommendations are to go forward or not? That's all I had for plan of action.
Okay, warden's report.
Board report for the period of October 1st, 2023 to October 31st, 2023. 67 male admissions, 74 male releases, 21 female admissions, 19 female releases. Average daily population for the time period was 147 inmates. 119 males, 28 females as of 10/31/23. Our total admissions for the year is just 932. Our hospital runs and transports for the month, we had 2 hospital runs, 1 orthopedic run, 6 to specialists, 2 and eye doctors for an 11 transports for the month. We had no hospital duties for the time period. That's all I have.
Anybody have any questions on the warden's report or any questions for the warden? I'll entertain a motion to accept the warden's report.
Motion.
Second.
Second by Wayne, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Do we need an executive session on personnel?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. No executive session, we'll go to the personnel report. Everybody have a chance to review the personnel report? You don't have to read anything off of there.
No, no.
Okay, and I'll entertain a motion to accept the personnel report.
Move to accept.
Second.
Motion by Chris, second by Rocky, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Is there any new business?
I just have one thing. We have to go through the formality of renewing the Oasis Management System commissary. It's an automatic renewal every year, I just wanna bring it up, it's due for renewal. It's the same thing we do every year. We okay with that?
Bob, you need to look at that or anything?
I'd like to, yeah.
What is it?
Well,
Let Bob just look at it, cause he may not be familiar with it.
Yeah.
yeah, and as long as the renewal hasn't changed, you know what I mean, if there's something different in it.
That doesn't change from year to year.
Okay, I mean,
We
you never know.
automatically
You never know.
Alright, that's all I had.
Any other new business? Any old business?
Well, should we make a motion contingent upon solicitor A-OK to move forward with the renewal? And then we don't have to address it next month and maybe sooner?
Alright, you put,
I'll
already
make the
put that in
motion.
as a motion,
Yeah.
is there a second? Wayne, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Old business. Any correspondence? Any words of wisdom from Bob?
No, not this one.
Alright, is there any further business? No, there being no further business, and I'll adjourn this meeting of the Inspectors of County. Thank you, gentlemen.